Welcome to Capes and Crossovers, the podcast where capes, masks, and multiverses collide. Not with fists or fandom wars, but with heart. I'm Luke Becker, here with my wonderful partner, Marvin Goines. We will be your guides through the wild, wonderful world of Marvel and DC projects. Here, we're ditching the toxicity and embracing the love, the sincerity, and the sheer joy these stories bring to the screen. Whether it's a team up, a reboot, or a universe shattering showdown, we're diving in with open minds and full on fandom. Grab your popcorn, suit up, and let's explore these worlds together. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the stories that unite us. Let's get started.
Hello, everybody. We are back with another episode of Capes and Crossovers. We are beyond excited. We just got our first look at Superman since last episode, sneak peek in theaters with Minecraft, and there's a ton of other news and little topics I want to go over. This is going to be a fun episode, and I'm happy you're all here. Marvin, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. How about you?
I am doing great. Just got back from work. I'm ready to discuss some stuff, man. There's some really exciting topics in here today.
Let's start off with what's on your hat.
Oh, yes, dude. I have been dying to talk about this with you. I know this is going to be
This
a
this
good
was the
one.
closest thing I had. I've got
Yeah,
all the Superman colors. I was like, I don't have a Superman thing, but I'm like, I can wear the colors at least.
we're close enough. We're close enough.
Oh man. So how many times did you watch that video? Because I've watched it about 5 times, probably.
I don't even probably like 10, and then I saw it in yeah,
Jeez.
then I saw it in theaters, but oh my God, it is so exciting. And honestly, I was a little worried it wasn't gonna pop up when I went to the movies because I had a friend that saw it in IMAX the same day as me. He said they didn't show it, and I was like, oh no, like please don't not show it. I got so nervous, and then thank God they showed it. I saw IMAX Minecraft and Dolby,
Mhm.
and I will add half aside here, but worst theater experience in my life probably. I'm gonna say
You
probably
got to tell me
was.
about it. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that parents forgot how to parent. It's just amazing. Just kids doing whatever they want. Like I have never had a truly like bad theatrical experience in my life up until this weekend, honestly. When I say bad, I mean like kids just kept hitting the chairs to make noise intentionally. They were cheering every 5 minutes, like literally every 5 minutes. They were cheering at the end of every trailer, like before the movie even started. And as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. Like this is
Oh
going to be bad.
boy.
That
Ugh.
there was a small child literally touching the screen and walking up and down as he touched it throughout the whole second half of the movie. No one did anything. I'm just like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what is this? It was just bizarre. But yeah, no, that was tough.
I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube and Twitter and all over them about people just like freaking out. But you know what it reminded me of? I don't
Yeah.
know if you've ever seen this viral video, but when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, the moment that Andrew Garfield showed up on screen, some
Yeah.
dude did a black backflip.
Yeah.
And I was like, at least they're excited about movies and movies are making a lot of money, which is good, you
Right.
know. Don't get me wrong, the fact that people don't know how to behave is another thing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I don't mind the excitement, obviously, especially like during No Way Home and like when I saw Endgame. The difference was
Yeah.
like the moments were very selective when people got crazy, crazy hyped. Like it was a few times in the movie versus I swear during Minecraft, it was every 5 minutes. There would be
Mhm.
a line or a reference, and instead of just a couple people going, "Oh, that's cool," it was, "Yeah!" Every like literally he said like this is a crafting table. Audience erupted at just him saying this is a crafting table. I was like, what? Like it was so crazy. I couldn't believe what was happening. I'm staring at my girlfriend. We're both watching this movie. I'm like, "I- we're both seeing this, right? Like,
Hey, at
great.
least it was memorable, right? It's
Oh,
not
it
like
was memorable. It
I'm
was
sure the
super
movie was like
memorable.
crappy, but like at least you're like, I will never forget that ever.
The movie was a 1 out of 10 for me, and honestly, I will never forget it. That is for sure. Will never
Yeah.
forget that TikTok, a movie that felt like it was made for TikTok. And I hate to be that guy that craps
No,
all
you're
over
right
it,
though.
but I just couldn't believe it. But anyway, let's get to the previews of that movie where I got to see a little sneak peek of Superman on the big screen, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that.
Yeah,
Because
man,
I
that
watched it
was
on my
nice.
what's funny is about an hour before that sneak peek got posted on Twitter and YouTube and everything, somebody said, "Hey, check this out," and sent it to me privately, a leaked version of it, like camera. I'm like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
so exciting!" I'm like, "Man, I can't wait to see that." But I'm not gonna go watch Minecraft. Sorry, Warner Brothers, you're not gonna trick me today. And then like an hour later, it finally came out. So I'm laying there in bed. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch it." I think I
Yeah.
watched it 2 or 3 times right then,
Yeah.
and then watched it a couple more times. So, um, do you mind if I mention the thing I noticed about inside of the Fortress of Solitude?
Which thing?
You could hear his father speaking
Yes. Yes, that's the
very
thing.
vividly, and it's a voice that you're like, you've heard it, you know it, and you're not going
Yes.
to forget it.
Yes.
Okay,
Don't we won't say the actor's name that it likely is, but if you've been looking into and if you heard about the rumors out there about who Jor-El is going to be played by, this seems to add a little more credence to that rumor, I'll say.
but what I found more interesting was that he was speaking in Kryptonian language, not in English. That
Yes.
was awesome right from the get go. And then Robot Number 12 was clearly, if, unless you've never watched a single animated movie in your life, that was Alan Tudyk. I mean, that
Yes.
dude has more, you know, voice acting credits than I have days I've slept in, right? Like the dude works.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go over my experience of it first.
Yeah. Go.
The first thing that got me was I'm trying to wonder who got that video of me and Kylo in the morning because oh my god, Krypto acts just like my dog, jumping all over me and saying get up, get up, get up, get up, to the point where like I'm in pain. Like I have made that yelp before because of somebody that I'm looking at right now jumping all over me and hurting my back.
Mm-hmm.
So that part was cool. I really like the Fortress of Solitude, and what really got me was when they were tuning the amplification of the sunlight that the
Yes.
whole fortress turned. It wasn't just like, oh, it's static here, it's in place, it doesn't move. It was like, hold on, we need to point it a little bit and turn. And it looked so good. So I can only imagine what it looked like for you on that big ass screen because I watched it on a 14-inch laptop, not the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I watched it on my laptop as well, and it looks great. It looks great there. I watched it on my TV at home. It looked fantastic there. But yeah, no, in Dolby, especially, which is where I saw Minecraft, it really did hit. I mean, you felt the scale of it. It looked fantastic. The colors are so vibrant, and I feel there's been so many complaints about and this happens in with every movie nowadays. Honestly, when trailers come out, just I'm gonna post 4 pictures and edit them myself and show you what real color grading looks like, and I'm like, okay. Okay, film experts on Twitter, let's see what you got. But it's just so tiring because I think it looks beautiful. I love how vibrant it is. If it's a comic book come to life in every way, and I think that's beautiful what James Gunn is doing. And yeah, no, the Krypto I think was fantastic. I think Krypto looked great. I think Krypto bounced around in a very animated way where I understand why some people might not look at that as, oh, it almost looks a little unpolished. But I look at it as very intentional, honestly. And I'm not just trying to make excuses. I genuinely feel that this was an intentional choice by Gunn to make this very animated, bouncy look to the way Krypto moves, because I think that's kind of just the cartoonish portrayal that he's going for with Krypto, which I love. And as far as the fortress, yeah, I mean, I love the sound design where you hear the ice cracking
Mm-hmm.
as it spins around. Like those little details are so cool. And the magnifying glass you mentioned, yes, I thought that was so cool the way they magnify the sun. It's the little details of the set design where I'm sure they can make that look way less interesting with a much more simplistic device to amplify the sun. Instead, they have these different series of magnifying glasses that come into place, like you said, as the fortress turns. And that's a very different way of going about that kind of process, where I feel like another director might have done something maybe like just one solid telescope looking device versus
Yeah.
literal magnifying glasses and a series of them. So it's little stuff like that I appreciate. But as far as the robots too, I thought they were great. Alan Tudyk, like you said, that was a cool little voice casting we got confirmed now. And I'm not sure not many people noticed this. I didn't even realize till I saw some others mention it, but Michael Rooker's voice is in there too, as the voice that's saying like the injuries that Kal-El has.
That was Michael Rooker.
No, it's not like
I'm
confirmed, but if you like listen closely, it's pretty clearly Michael Rooker.
I mean, I recognize his voice, so I'm gonna have to go back and listen for it because I didn't pay too much attention to that. I was like
Me
more
neither.
looking at what was happening, like actively, like as they were
Yeah,
moving him and everything.
yeah.
Um, okay, but you mentioned something about the color grading. Sorry, I hate to go back, but
No,
it's
no,
just
go please.
well, the only reason why I'm confused by it is like, do people not understand that's a snowy tundra? So of course the colors are going to be more muted. Like visibility is affected. You can really tell who doesn't go outside sometimes with these comments
Yes.
they make
Hmm.
because that's just straight confusing. And people didn't like Crypto for bouncing around. He's a dog.
I know.
That's what dogs
It's
do.
I mean, well, as far as like the CG of it, like that I understood more in the sense of it looks very cartoony, I guess, in the way he bounces a little bit, but not to like a bad degree. Like again, it feels very intentionally done in the
Mhm.
way he's moving, and I think it's meant to be like a cartoon in that sense. But as far as like the actual design of Crypto, I think Crypto looks perfect. I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
as
like
far
it.
as Crypto's presence in the trailer, and whether or not people should be worried about Crypto. I mean, look, I talked about this. I feel like with so many people to degrees that make me want to pass out, honestly. But as far as like, look, you're either with what the movie's going for or you're not, and that's okay if you're not. But the movie is going for a much lighter version than what Man of Steel was. And and I talked about this with so many people, and I understand this for a whole generation of people now. Henry Cavill and Man of Steel is what they view Superman as. Especially if you aren't a comic reader, you probably look at Superman and think that his version is what it's supposed to be like. And I'm really not trying to invalidate Zack Snyder's take because I actually enjoy Man of Steel, but I enjoy it much more as a sci-fi epic than I enjoy it as a Superman movie. I don't think
Okay.
I don't love what he does as far as the character and expanding on the mythos of specifically like the Daily Planet and oh my God, brain fart. Name of the city.
Metropolis.
Oh my God, how did I forget Okay, that was weird. And as far as the way he's building out Metropolis, I don't love a lot of what he does there. It's very bland. There's no character to it. Like Metropolis, Gotham, these cities should be living, breathing characters almost in the way it's approached. And I want to feel that. I didn't really feel that in Metropolis in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. And I didn't really feel that Clark Kent was a developed character in Man of Steel. I didn't really feel anything for the relationship between Clark and Lois in Man of Steel. And all those feel like priorities in the James Gunn movie. So, if you really resonate with what Man of Steel did, that's great. But like to me, those are the more important traits and characteristics for a Superman movie. And now we're actually having those be expanded on and touched on in a much more efficient way. So I think, people just looked at what Man of Steel did and felt, oh, this is epic. This is what
Mhm.
Superman should always be. When in reality, Superman is much more of a representation of kindness historically. If you don't resonate with that, sure, but that's usually what the character is centered on. And that's what James Gunn has already said is like the big tagline of this movie. It's about kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned or naive. And
Mhm.
I think that the fact that it's getting, shit on so much by people is a testament to that message of the movie being so real, that kindness is viewed as this cringy thing for so many people. It's viewed as this boring thing for people. And that's kind of the thing that so many people are saying that criticize it, whether it be the Snyder fans or non-Snyder fans. Just, oh, this is lame, this is boring, he's doing this, and why is Kal-El hurt? Why is Clark hurt? He's Superman. It's like he's not a human being, but he's
Do they forget
vulnerable.
that Henry Cavill literally died?
Died. I mean, yeah, but Superman could be vulnerable, both in an emotional sense, but and a physical sense, both. Like,
Yeah.
if he's not, that's just a boring character, quite frankly. Like, you don't need to just make him this god. Obviously, he has those moments, and there are times where he does reach that. But right now in this state, this is like the beginning of Superman, and he's still figuring some stuff out. He's not this ultimate god, and maybe one day he will be in the DCU, especially as we get further into the universe. But at this stage, no, he's not an invincible god, and I think that's okay. I think that makes it much more interesting. And if you're not with that, fine, but I don't really see why we can't enjoy both takes for what they are. Like,
Hmm.
again, I love Man of Steel for what it is. I do, honestly. But I A resonate with this more, but B, I love this for what it is. I love Gunn's take too so far as what he's described it as. Obviously, I haven't seen the movie, but for what
Right.
he's going for at least. I love that.
I started off with Brandon Ruth's Spider-Man, Superman Returns.
Uh
One thing I actually really liked about that take, just because we're talking about what we enjoy,
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
how distant that Superman was. He was like very removed from humanity, so much so that he left. I mean, it's in the title of the movie, Superman Returns. But when he came back, he still kept the distance from all of them.
Yes.
I kind of, from what I'm seeing, I like that this Superman's trying to be a little bit more involved.
Mhm.
Like he really wants to be a part of the city, even though, as you can see in the trailer, that they're revolting against him. The dude throws a can at the back of his head.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that may be, there's doing it, but he's still showing up to wherever it is, even though people seemingly don't want him there or against him. He's there for some reason. So like I like to see him intermingle more with humans, not just Lois and Jimmy
Right.
and very select few others, but like also as Superman doing both.
Right. And I'm sure that there are going to be points where, Gunn is going to deviate from the comics. He's not always 100% comic accurate. Guardians of the Galaxy proved that he doesn't always follow the comics to a T, and that's okay. I mean, even someone like Snyder, he didn't follow the comics to a T at all. So, like, yeah, I don't get why everyone criticizes everything he changes, because there are going to be some things he changes. Some small, some big. Like, I know, I won't say what it is, but I know there's one thing that's like fairly significant. I think he's changing as far as like some lore, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I'll say it's regarding Jor-El. There's a certain rumor out there about Jor-El and his presence in the film and what it represents and what it means. And this,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I know what
and
you're talking
yeah,
about.
that
Okay.
rumor's out there a little bit, but I'm just not gonna say it in case someone doesn't want to know. But
Yeah.
as far as what that is, I'll just say that it would be a change that people might not like because it's different. But I really don't care if it serves the story, and I've always been of that mindset with comics and movies in general. I wasn't a comic reader growing up. I started on the movies and then I went to the comics. And the one thing that I feel benefits me with that at least, and I think is that I'm not
You're not
watching every
beholden.
yeah, like I'm
No,
not watching every movie going, "Oh, they did this differently, they did that differently."
Superman would never do that. Well, he's
Right.
doing it right now, so I don't know what else to
Yeah,
tell you.
exactly. I can just enjoy each medium for what it is and appreciate both as long as the story is good. Story is key. If the story is great, the rest is whatever as long as you're not losing the integrity of a particular character. That's the only thing I would say, like, you can't lose that in most cases, at least for
Mhm.
like the main character. You want to change certain parts about lesser characters or side characters. I'm open to that as long as it's not like a major issue. But every case is going to be different though. And I think
Right.
people need to be more open-minded to that and not try to nitpick every little thing. And I'll just quickly add too, because we talked about the robots in the trailer too.
Mhm.
That whole post was going around of, oh, this is horrible writing. The Roan robot says, basically, you don't need to say sorry. It doesn't matter to
Oh
us. We
yeah.
have no emotions. And then the next robot, Robot 12, says like, oh my God, he looked at me. And everyone's like, that immediately invalidates the line. So this is just lazy writing. Gunn wasn't paying attention. How much do you want to bet right now that this is going to be a plot point in the movie? That this robot has emotion and the others don't, and this is a newer model being Robot 12. I will bet you right now that that is going to be a plot. Either that, or the plot point is that there's more underneath the surface than these robots let on, and they just don't fully realize it, and that Clark cares about everything, whether or not there's a true emotion, whether it's programmed or not programmed, whatever it may be. There is something there, and Clark is going to care about that person or that being, that entity, whatever it might be. Like I guarantee you, to some degree, that's not going to be just a totally
Throwaway.
purposeless thing. Yeah, like it is a
I
joke, obviously, but it's more than that too, I think.
I'm I could see that possibility, but I think just me, I just
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's just classic Gun humor. He's just
Okay.
being silly, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, and if it turns it into something else, that's also cool. I don't. James Gunn has never put something out there to for no reason.
Hmm.
Like the looking back, look at Guardians 1, where when they're arresting Rocket, they mentioned Lila, and then he brought it back full circle and made it
Yeah,
a huge part of 3.
right.
Like, it's rare for him to just say, like, here's something and it's pointless and dumb and useless. No, no, like there's usually something in it. So
Right.
your your prediction may be very sound.
Yeah, and even because in the original trailer, we see him holding a robot in the fortress, seemingly the
And he's
robot's dead.
emotional about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
willing to bet like that ties in a little bit to like where whether it's Robot 4 or 12, like Robot 4, like if that was the one that died, for example, they might focus on the fact that this robot said like it has no emotion, but Clark's still sad anyway because he understands that maybe to some degree there is some emotion because the robot's displaying some level of sadness. Or it could be the other way if it's Robot 12, let's say, the new model, where it's, oh my God, like this is one of the newer models. This robot showed emotion. This is not just like the others. This one's another level in
Mhm.
that sense. And I can't, like, I'm losing this person. This is a person to me. And they'll touch on it that way. One way or another, I don't think it's fully throwaway, but yes, it is Gunn humor for sure. It is classic James Gunn humor. And the
We
fact
don't
that
have
that
emotions, shows emotions. Yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah, the fact that that line immediately follows the other one, I think that's going to be both intentional for the narrative, but both intentional for the sake of the joke too, because it follows the other immediately. So I think it's a bit of both. But
yeah.
regardless, though, it's James Gunn humor, and I think people are reading both
Too
a
much
little too
into a
deep.
2 minute
Yeah,
clip.
yeah,
Yeah. What's new?
crazy. It's just crazy. But all in all, though, I truly did love the clip. I love the tone they're going for. I love the look of everything. The effects are very polished, I will say. I think it looks beautiful. I know
Looks very
I
nice.
heard some people say, like early on before this clip even came out, that like from screenings, that some people said maybe the Fortress didn't look perfect. Fortress looks fantastic to me. It looks fantastic. I really wouldn't change anything there. But yeah, and the score, by the way, John Murphy's score so far is awesome. I really like what he's doing, and people pointed this out, which is cool. There was the little music that plays during the DC intro that's in that scene as part of the score. So I guess they pulled that from the Superman score for the DC intro they've been using, which is cool. Yeah,
Nice, nice. It doesn't sound as clear, right, coming out of a laptop speaker. So maybe I'll have to do it with headphones on to hear it a little bit
yeah.
better. But no, it's exciting, man. I mean, like, look, we're in today's April 8th. We're almost there. three
Superman
months
Day,
away.
10 days too.
Oh yeah, yeah. That'll be exciting to see what they do then.
Trailer.
Do they owe us a second one? Or yeah, I
But
guess they do too, huh?
we haven't gotten a non-teaser technically. I think this is going to be the first official trailer. And then
I
they're
thought
already
the one we
hyped.
got back in December was the first trailer.
That was the teaser though, not like trailer one technically. You know what I'm
Um,
saying? Like the
yeah,
first
yeah.
official trailer is different from the teaser. So this is going to be like the trailer. And I think that because they've been hyping up Superman Day today in general.
I
They didn't
noticed.
yeah,
Yeah,
they didn't say trailer, but I would be pretty shocked if there isn't. It's on a Friday. The trailer has to come out semi soon either way. They're probably going to want to pair it with some of the movies coming up in
Sinners.
May. Right. So like and this
Sinners is coming out on the 18th, and that's the next Warner Brothers thing. So yeah, no, that makes a
right.
lot of sense.
So I think yeah,
You're
that
really good
adds
at
up.
connecting those dots. I don't pay so much attention, but every once in a while it comes to me.
Yeah.
But all right, okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's it's exciting. Love
Yes.
Superman. I'm ready for it.
Absolutely.
I'm taking summer classes, and like I'm very lucky that Superman, Fantastic Four, and I think also Jurassic World
Yeah.
all come out in between sessions because I'm doing one session of classes, a little break, and then a second set, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
"Whew, I'm gonna have to like really spend time in the theater, maybe even do some double showings because
Me too.
I've only got like 3 weeks. Realistically, this summer I only have like 3, 4 weeks of free time.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this is gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this summer.
All right. Are we done on Superman right now or
Yeah, no, that's a
okay, yeah.
lot to cover.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that sneak peek, go watch it. It is
Yes.
really fun. It's just a couple. It's probably like the opening scene of the movie. I'm guessing. Who knows?
Yeah.
If not, then afterwards they re-show the teaser that we were speaking of. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it, you got to make a point to see it. Although at this point, I feel like everybody's starting to see it because I've already seen memes about Krypto.
Also, I just want to add to genius move to attach it to Minecraft because that movie is going to
Yes,
make over $1 billion, and now you're getting
yes.
so many eyes seeing that trailer, which is fantastic.
Dude, speaking of, I looked at, I was just curious, just kind of like, oh, I wonder. I looked at, was it Friday or some day this weekend? I looked at the showings at my local cinema and they never sell out anything. They
Mhm.
had six in a row sold out. And I'm
Wow.
like, this theater is not that great and it doesn't
Mhm.
perform that well. But hey, if you have the right movie, people will show up.
It's a
And it's just,
trend. That's the thing.
and
It's a
it's
trend.
awesome. And
Yeah.
what this also tells me is all those people that went to watch this movie this weekend saw that Superman bit, and now they're gonna have Superman on their mind going into this summer.
Right. Yeah, no,
So,
it's crazy,
and
man.
yeah, I'm excited. So the next thing, which I think is hilarious, that it's like a recurring thing that every single week there is a new person joining
Yes.
Lanterns because every week I send it to you, I'm like, hey, look, somebody else joined. I'm like,
Yeah.
every week since we started, literally since week one, has been like, hey, somebody else joined Landers, somebody else, which is great. That means something's it's got some traction. Chris Coy is playing Waylon Sanders, an intelligent survivor or a nervous truck driver, which is such a okay.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of both. Age and real name unknown. He's unbound by the laws of nature.
Mhm.
Wow, I that's a lot to unpack there. That
Yeah.
tells me he's not just some dude. He's dude with something in him.
Yeah.
Uh, if you've seen Bass Reeves, he's in that and the
Okay.
peripheral. Um, but it's a guest starring role, so that means he'll pop up a couple times probably. And last week we had what Nathan Fillion along all the other characters that are already put in on this.
Mhm.
Um, I'm wow, I haven't really sat down to think about that the fact I didn't I read the first one but I didn't read the second part where it said unbound by the laws of nature that's got to be an alien.
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting part so far with this DCU. It feels like powered beings could just pop up in any project, honestly. I think that's kind of where we're at in this universe that's established. So, yeah, I mean, if this was like a Marvel show, I'd say, yeah, maybe not a powered being, but like right now in DC, that's like everywhere. This universe is beyond lived in. So, like, yeah, this could be a powered being or an alien, something for sure. I mean, it's definitely not just going to be a regular human. You don't use that specific phrasing if it's a normal human, unbound by the laws of nature. That's got to be something different. So I'm excited. I'm not familiar with the actor myself. So you've seen the actor in a couple shows?
I've seen Chris Coin something but I cannot remember what it was. The ones
Okay.
I listed aren't the ones I've seen him in.
Oh,
Those are
okay.
just what he's known
Got it.
for, but I've seen
Okay.
him in something now that I think about it. I'm gonna look it up real quick because the curiosity will eat me alive if I don't.
Do it.
He was in The Walking Dead but I've never seen that.
Oh, I have. Okay.
He was
Let me see.
LP Everett. No, sorry, he was Martin.
Martin.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember this guy. Got it. Very vaguely, but I haven't seen Walking
No,
Dead in a minute, but I definitely
it,
know this character.
you want to know something really interesting that I'm picking up right now? This is
Yeah.
a great get for one good reason. This dude has been in like every procedural show you can think of: CSI, uh, Monk, The Mentalist, Justified,
Oh,
Law and Order, Hawaii Five O, Castle, Criminal Minds, Bones, NCIS,
wow.
Lethal Weapon, Homeland. I mean, like this dude is like the guy, I guess, at this point. If you
Oh,
need somebody to be in part of a, because this is kind of what Lanterns is going to be, more or
yes.
less. It's not just like oh, they're just superpower beings. They're doing something. Like what was it they call it? The True Detective
Yeah.
of the DC, more or less. And I mean that lines up with if they're getting some dude like this that his whole thing is playing that. That's great.
Yeah.
That is awesome. But there's really not much else we can say on that one. I
Yeah,
mean,
not really.
but it's funny how every week there's always something in
Something.
Lanterns.
Gotta be something.
Um, so we can shift to the next thing, which would be Peacemaker first look, which there's really not much, just about all of 8 seconds.
Yeah.
All you see is Peacemaker in front of an explosion, and then you see him jump over a roof, break through a glass window, Daredevil style. I want to say. I mean, there's not much. The only thing
Yeah.
that's interesting is in that in all of these clips and first looks, he's not wearing his traditional suit. He's just wearing regular civilian clothing. And then Adebayo at one point turns to him and says, "Hey, you're a superhero," which I thought was probably the most interesting part because she says, "You're a superhero now." So why is he a superhero now? That's what I want to know.
Right.
What changed in the status quo? What's he been up to? What is he currently doing that they're like registering him instead as that?
Yeah, no, Peacemaker 2 remains like the biggest mystery, man. I mean, we're a few months out. It's in August, and we don't know a thing about the show.
The only thing
Like,
I know is that they're doing a new intro sequence, and I'm
right.
like 98% convinced that they're doing a Foxy Shazam song. I don't
I
know if I told you about that.
love dude, I love Foxy
I know
Shazam.
you
Yeah.
do, but like somebody that works on the show posted the clapboard and
Mhm.
they had a Foxy Shazam song playing in the background. And like I have the screenshot, I'll have to send it to you at some point. But like it was like on an Instagram story, and they were like, that's a wrap on season two. And I'm like, I'm almost certain that this is what they're going with it. So if that happens, I think you'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, absolutely I would be. But I'm so like I'm pretty deep in like the leakers community, I guess. Like I try to like know as much as I can in general. I just can't help myself. But even despite that, I know nothing about Peacemaker season two narratively. Like nothing is leaked. There's nothing
Yeah.
out there. And every insider, when asked about it, they're just like, I have no
And
idea. And it's like it's fascinating because this stuff always gets out, but right now the whole show was filmed and nobody can really figure out what the main plot is beyond the fact that we're going to have Frank Grillo playing Rick Flag Sr. again, because, James Gunn is giving him all the work in the world right now. And he's popping up in this show as one of the main antagonists as because he's going after Peacemaker after what he did to his son in the Suicide Squad. So beyond that plot line, we're pretty much in the dark. But yeah, no, he hasn't had his suit on so far in the trailers, which is interesting. And yeah, it seems like the one thing I'll say, I have a feeling that we're going to get a pretty big or noticeable increase in the budget here. I have a feeling that the scale is going to be quite a bit bigger in this particular season. Even listening to James Gunn talk about it, I remember he referenced like some more sci-fi elements in this season, more so than before. And last season we had
a
butterflies
lot,
like
yeah.
invade Earth. So like I'm curious to see what that implies and what's we're kind of going into here. But I'm hyped, man. I'm really hyped, and I think that this season is going to be inevitably as good as the first because, I'm going to say it until he does. James Gunn does not fail. He does not fail. He has not failed. Until he does fail, I refuse to say he's going to fail.
I sent you the picture if you want to see it for yourself, but it's just a screenshot from a Instagram story, and then it had that song attached to it. This actually, I didn't tell you what song. It was "Oh Lord" specifically.
Whoa, this is not related to what we're talking about, but Robert Pattinson in talks to join Dune Messiah. Good for him.
I just got the notification, which is interesting because I wonder what this does for the Batman
Oh, wait,
too.
when is that film?
Well, that was the thing, right? We don't know.
Well, when does
And if
Messiah film though?
um,
Because that might be out there by now.
let's
Dune
see.
Messiah filming.
So
Okay, June, I'm seeing. June
okay,
2025. Okay, then that might not be a problem because it sounded like filming for the Batman Part 2 got pushed back to like the end of the year already.
yeah.
So if that's the case, then it shouldn't really make a difference. But man, he's getting that
And good
work.
for Robert, man. Good for Robert. He's
Yeah.
always been great. I mean, I still, I will always get onto myself because when they first announced him as Batman, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The guy from Twilight.
Yeah.
And I was proven so very, very, very wrong to the point where I was like, I'm so glad this happened. This is the best thing that could have ever happened.
It's funny. I never saw Twilight. I knew of him as the guy from Twilight. I never actually saw it. And then I had heard from just some people in general that like, hey, he's doing some good stuff in like the indie field. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get some movies to watch. And then I watched Good Time and I watched The Lighthouse and I was like, whoa, this guy is like a powerhouse actor. Like he's fantastic. And then immediately I was like, okay, the Batman's my most anticipated movie. Oh my God, this is amazing.
No, Twilight was huge when I was in junior high and high school. So, and I dated a girl in high school that was into it. So I had to go to a midnight showing for one of those.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah. That's my history with him. But
There
man,
you
you know
go.
what? Like I said, I was happy to see me to be proven wrong on that one.
Yeah.
And then there was something you sent me a few days ago that they showed a little bit of the dynamic duo, and
Yeah.
it featured poetry animation and stunning cinematography and like
Hmm.
just a small brief footage.
Yeah.
Like I'm always of the mind, I'm like, respectfully, I don't want these things to leak because there's a reason why they showed them then and for those people because they paid the money for those tickets. But I really do
I
want to see
know.
it. I want to see it for myself, but at the same time, I'm patient. When it's time, it's time, right? Like,
You know,
um,
it's exciting because like from what I've heard, and this is like going off of just watching videos from people. I watched the one I'm referencing most right now is Koi Jandro, who I've talked about on here already. I watched his video where he discussed this a little bit, and he pretty much said that like this is Spider-Verse levels of like innovation in animation. He said
mhm,
like this is like crazy stuff. The way they're mixing this puppetry with this animation and with some live action elements mixed in too, seemingly like this strange combo of different elements that like in your mind shouldn't work, but they just it looks incredible. And it's so awesome that DC is willing to take those kind of swings here. And on top of that, what interests me so much is that it seems like this is going to be Elseworlds, but at the same time, Gunn said pretty recently when he did that big interview junket where he gave updates on all the projects, he pretty much implied that like it's not DCU right now necessarily, but it could be. Like he pretty much said like if it works, cool. And the fact that they're even open to that is pretty cool that like they're willing to experiment in mediums within that cinematic universe even where
yeah,
like they can have
yeah.
a sway box animated project set in the DCU maybe. Like that's at least on the table, which is awesome because like with Marvel for example, we haven't seen that yet. And I would like to see some stuff like that for sure. Like
Well, they got What If.
well, I meant like on more on the theatrical level.
Oh, I'm sorry, you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
theatrical. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, theatrical
yeah,
level
yeah. I
specifically.
would like something a little different.
Obviously, Spider-Verse is awesome, but that's Sony, you're not MCU set. But yeah.
Yeah, and then, but on the other hand, MCU did have a couple cool things like Werewolf by Night. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
that
for
was very
sure.
fun, very different, and something that was
Love
very
that
welcome.
project.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah, I'm excited for Dynamic Duo. I know when they first announced it that they had like a release date of what, like 2027,
I
2028 or something
yeah,
like
I
that.
think 2028. Yeah, because the
Cool.
animation takes a long time, but
It
hey,
takes a long
that's
time, but you know
fine.
what? Yep, exactly. As we've always said, it's okay to wait as long as the end product's good, and it'll be cool.
Yeah,
You know, like I'm trying to think of the last thing I saw with puppets in it would probably be like, man, Coraline or something. I don't know.
yeah.
But stuff like that is cool, man. It's just unique. It lets you do some other stuff that's really interesting. Like one thing I like about Spider-Verse is that when you're watching it, there's always like the boxes of text and the
Hmm.
effects, like stuff like that's just really neat because it that's you know that's Xeroxing those comic book pages in a way that also feels fluid and it works for that.
Yeah. So like in the dynamic duo clips, they did again, it was like literally seconds of footage. I think one was just like of two characters talking maybe, and then the other clip was of the Batmobile, I believe. I think
Hmm.
those are the two clips that were shown, each like maybe 3 seconds long.
Wow.
Like it was literally that quick, if from what I recall. So it didn't really give much away, but that makes sense because if the movie's 3 years out, I'm sure they're like pretty early in the animation process still. That takes a lot of time to really get right, especially to have anything worth showing to an audience, even if it is short.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that there's a lot more work to be done, but yeah, like you said, however long it takes, man. Just get me the best product possible, and if whether it's DCU or Elseworlds, whatever it may be, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Since we're still on the topic of CinemaCon, I think this would be
Mhm.
a good way to pivot into the stuff that was shown at
Yeah.
um, CinemaCon for Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
So they had another trailer and it showed a couple spoilers, not massive spoilers, but definitely spoilers. Just a heads up if you're
Yep.
this far in. They showed Susan pregnant,
Yeah.
pregnant Susan with and her brother Johnny making quips about it. That she's going to be a good mother and that Reed has some work to do, which I think is pretty funny and absolutely, what do you call it, on
On
like
brand.
on brand for what how
Yeah.
Johnny talks and what he has to say. But the other huge thing is that they finally showed Silver Surfer, and then that basically confirms Julia Garner.
I'm so
Um,
jealous I didn't get to see that, man. I'm
yeah,
beyond
but
jealous.
you know, the movie comes out late July, so I wouldn't be surprised we get another look and it actually shows.
Fairly soon, yeah. I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
show that in the next trailer.
Yeah. But there was also from Empire, they posted two
Yes.
photos. There's nothing super duper interesting about it. It's just like Johnny and Susan standing together with looks like some sort of storage device while they're in their spacesuits, and then another picture of Reed and Ben standing together. This is before they've gone up, obviously, because Ben's still human. But one thing I just want to point out because I've always been obsessed with it is I love the 60s, the space race, all that. Like the product, not the product, the set design is beautiful. I mean, like I've watched a lot of old documentaries and they're on Disney Plus. I can link you to them. But there's a couple of documentaries having to do with space, travel, Mars, the moon, all that. And if you were to watch one of those and remove the grain filter, just because that's the quality of the recording from what
Yeah.
devices they had back then, this is exactly what I would expect. What's even funny is if you look in the background between Johnny and Susan, that's what fans looked like back then. They didn't just throw something together. That's like time accurate. And I
Hmm.
don't see any digital clocks. They're all analog. And same thing with the pressure gauge is all analog. Like it's not a huge thing, but the fact that if they were able to hone in and nail these tiny little details, it puts me in a lot better mind space about all the big things. And
Hmm.
even from what I've seen, the panorama vision or Panavision, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
whatever. But just they must have spent a lot of time nailing this down, which is not too hard to do. I mean, if you watch the show like Mad Men, they went through a lot of work to get accurate, liquor bottles and cards and dresses and suits and vehicle, like all that. I mean, it's not like it's that hard, but it just shows how much more labor and love is being put in when little things like that look that good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can feel the love in every clip and picture we've gotten to this point. I really believe Matt Jackman was the perfect pick for this. And, seeing what he did with the time periods and different spaces in WandaVision, you can clearly see how on a directorial, but also with his team, a production design level, that there was a clear fit there for the movie. And yeah, I mean, this pictures we got, the production design is impeccable. I mean, everything looks perfect. And on top of that, looking at the interview, just listening to his description of what he was going for, how he wants to create a this movie in the way Stanley Kubrick would have created it. Like hearing that comparison as far as like the filmmaking goes and the stylistic choices, I'm like, that is a director that has a clear vision in mind. And when you hear that, a director that's so passionate with a clear idea of what he wants to do, and I think in this case, Marvel's letting him do what he wants, that puts me at ease and really fills me with so much confidence in what this movie is going to be. And I am so excited to see what we get in July, man. I mean, as far as Julia Garner's Silver Surfer, that's going to be so cool to finally see. I am I think that's an awesome casting. I mean, again, this whole cast in general is just so stacked, and that is a big part of what has me excited beyond just the actual filmmaking elements, which already seem top notch, but the performances I think we're going to get in this movie are going to be some of the best in Marvel. And the chemistry I think we're going to see with the first family is going to be probably the best in Marvel, period, honestly. I think it's going to be up there with what we've seen in with the OG Avengers, honestly. I think it's going to be at that level of chemistry in the cast, which is what you would expect and what you would need to really make this Fantastic Four stick out as iconic. And that's what the first family's about, man, in Marvel. That's what it's entirely about. Just feeling the chemistry between them. And if that's not there, then the Fantastic Four just doesn't work. So,
Yeah.
I'm pumped, man.
You mentioned that interview, and as I pull it up to look at it, he mentioned stuff about it being the space race, like I just said a couple minutes ago. It's
Yeah.
something I've been obsessed with. I'm from the Houston area. I mean, I have in the background, I have a NASA shirt right there,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've got plenty of them. I love NASA. I love everything they do and they stand for. I mean, it's an incredible organization that does so much with so little. So it's going to be fun seeing them blend that with a mind like Reed's and what they can accomplish. But there's something he mentions that makes me really excited.
Yeah.
And he said it's about JFK and optimism. It's imagining these four going to space instead of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin.
Hmm.
Do you think there's any possibility that in this universe they actually have JFK?
I don't see why not. Wait. I mean, I could be making this up. Is it canon that Bucky kills JFK, or am I making that up?
Uh, in I think in
Right? Like I think they touched on that briefly that in Winter Soldier, if I
let me
remember
see.
correctly, he definitely assassinates like a major political figure. I can't. I think it was
Yes,
JFK.
he
Yeah,
did.
right.
He
Yeah.
did on the orders of
So
Hydra. Yep. Wow.
obviously it's not the same universe. So like, Bucky's probably not even part of that universe as I'm thinking about it. But just something I thought of when you mentioned JFK, I was like, the MCU lost their JFK because of Bucky. And now he's in Congress. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, because there's that scene with Zola where he's showing all these super quick
Yeah.
flashes of everything, and yeah, sure enough,
Wow, that's crazy.
man.
But yeah, no, I think that the fact that they're tying it in with such they're referencing such historical stuff, I think it's definitely possible. And on top of that, man, he talks about the idea of like, the Fantastic Four being famous first for their work as, space explorers and wanting to go into space. Like that's why they became famous, not because they had powers. That comes
Right.
after, which
Yep.
I think adds to the mystical element of this world where these are the celebrities of the time, man.
Yeah.
And once it's just so cool. I love what they're doing.
There's just a lot to be excited about because this is an alternative universe where there's no Captain America,
Yeah.
right? There's nothing else. Like these are going to become your first superheroes in this universe.
Um,
Um, which on top of that, they're already known for the huge space thing they're doing. I mean, going up into space is a huge thing. But it seems like with this launch, it's a little bit more like they're being permitted because from what I recall in other iterations, that they went behind the government's back and did it anyway, even though they weren't supposed to, at least in a couple times.
yeah.
So this one seems like it's more, this whole universe looks a lot more unified.
Mhm.
Like the fact that he's briefing the United Nations and everything, and and how they're going about a few things just tells me like this is like I don't want to say utopia because that's just a little bit too far,
Yeah, yeah.
but this is definitely like even this potential. This is even a universe where the world wars didn't happen. Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, there's so much we don't know, but that's the fun part. They have the flexibility to do anything because it's a different universe, and I think
Yeah.
that's a big one of the most fun parts of this. That when you have those kind of movies and projects that are not set in the MCU, you really do have total creative reign to do anything you want. As far as the aesthetic of the world go and the choices, the lore, of what's happening, all of that, you have those choices as a director and a writer. So I think that it must be so freeing if you're Matt Shackman to know when you went into this movie, like I can basically do whatever I want. And
Yeah.
that's so cool. So I feel like I could say this forever. I could not be more excited for this movie. It's my most anticipated for the year. That's not Superman. It's Superman 1, number 2 is Fantastic Four. And it's pretty close, honestly, between the two of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we know we're going to see them in Fantastic Four first steps, and then afterwards we're going to see them in Doomsday. Now,
Hmm.
speaking of Doomsday, Haley and Haley, Atwell and
Yes.
Steinfeld. So there was not a little, it was a pretty big article detailing the careers of like the 100 most powerful or influential lawyers in Hollywood and some of the contracts that they've signed for their clients.
Hmm.
And I don't know if this was an accident or just like no one cares or intentional, but in there, there's somebody mentions that they were the one that were or are securing the contract for Haley Atwell to appear in Avengers 5 and 6,
Hmm.
um, which makes complete sense. And I don't know
Yeah.
if this one sucks to like have spoiled because she's Captain Carter. She showed up in Multiverse of Madness. She had her own show. It was also called What If. Um, but I'm not even remotely surprised about her inclusion. Like this is like one of
Oh.
those like duh, she should totally be in it. The
Hmm.
Haley Steinfeld one was she was at some convention and somebody asked her if she was going to be in the movie and she nodded, which is like that's a really far way to go with it. But again, I would be surprised if she didn't show up because
Hmm.
she was talking to Kamala Khan at the end of the Marvels, right? Like
Yeah.
they're going to show up, and you're not going to just use those two very charismatic and loved actresses characters as well and not put them in this movie. But I'm
Right.
sure, like they said, like they did the big announcement with all the chairs. There's definitely more. I mean,
Yeah.
The one there's also two other names that got brought up in the last week, but you're gonna have to like go
Hmm.
read it for yourself. But one of them was they asked Chris Pratt, and he's like, "Oh, I guess they forgot to call me or something." Even though we remember at the end of Guardians 3 where Star Lord will return. I mean,
Yeah.
he's going to show up. It may not be Doomsday. It may not be till Secret Wars. Who knows? Maybe he shows up at the very end saying, "Hey, I saw what was going down." You never know.
Hmm.
But the other name, this is the one that I really want to talk about because, like I've said before, X Men I grew up with. That's for me the thing, and it was Halle Berry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you have the X-Men and not have one, your Omega level mutant in the form of Storm? And how can you not have the huge name? Because when X-Men first came out, I think her and Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were the biggest stars at that
Mhm.
time. I mean, everybody else has become more famous, but like when that movie came out, Halle Berry was arguably the most popular person, most known actress
Mhm.
on that team.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, adding her to this cast is a major deal. I heard about it a while ago that this is almost definitely happening, but now it's seemingly like almost for sure happening. And I think that's so exciting. I mean, how could you not have her when
An
you're,
OG.
yeah, when you're clearly bringing back the original X-Men team? Like you're gonna do that without her. I couldn't imagine that, and I'm happy that I don't have to imagine that now because she is gonna be back seemingly, and I'm excited to see her again. This applies to all of them, this cast, but I want to see them all done justice, man. I want to see them done
Yeah,
right. Not to say that they were bad in their movies, but we never got to see Storm shine truly in the way I would have wanted, and not to the utmost degree at least.
I
She's
got you. I
no,
got you.
she's great. Again, it's more just I know she that could be greatness, like
Mhm.
genuine greatness. And that applies to almost that whole cast for me. Like Marsden as Cyclops, the biggest case, obviously, for me, but like that could be incredible. But we got to see it done right. I want to see them in like more comic accurate suits. I want to see their powers in this modern context with even stronger effects than ever before, and maybe a bigger scale, more creative ideas in this more comic booky world. And at a time where we're not as afraid to embrace that comic book lore and fun stuff now. Like, I think there's just so much more they can do to make that character iconic now, more so than before, and that's awesome. So I think that no, this is gonna be awesome, man. I'm excited that we're gonna have her as part of that cast.
Do you remember? I'm going to say like a year, maybe 2 years ago,
Yeah.
somewhere in the last 48 months, that she
Mhm.
posted like a photo on her Instagram of her with like the hair, and
Mhm.
she put like a little thunder and lightning
Yeah.
emojis in the caption. I'm like, oh, okay, she's coming back. That's great. Good to know. And I think she took it down or something, but it was like sometimes some of these secrets just don't stay that secret, and that's okay. But that's like one I'm like, it wouldn't spoil anything if you were to tell me tomorrow that she's in this movie. Like
Right.
that's yeah, like be like, oh, Doom's in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like as the months progress, like before the end of the year, we'll know a lot more people. Right now, no, because they're trying to start up production and they've got to market Thunderbolts, which is the next topic, and Fantastic Four as well. But Thunderbolts tickets went on sale what yesterday
Yeah,
or
yesterday. Yesterday.
yeah. You told me you bought yours already.
Yeah, I'm gonna go at 10 p.m. I was originally gonna try to do 5 p.m., but I wanted to make sure I can go with all my friends. I don't like to watch these movies alone, honestly.
Yeah.
I could, but when I get the opportunity at least to watch it with like my boys, it's always more fun for me. So I'm happy that I can have them all tag along to see it at 10 p.m. and I'll probably drop it out a theater reaction, honestly, at night, give my thoughts, and next time we talk afterwards, we'll actually get to discuss the movie, hopefully in full.
Yeah. I have finals the Monday after the movie comes out, so I think my plan is to like I'm gonna go to finals, go take them, and then once I'm done, I'm gonna walk out of that theater or I'm gonna walk out of that campus, get in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
car, and drive to one of the two theaters near me and just go watch it immediately.
Hell yeah.
Um, and I'm really looking forward to this. That little clip they showed where it shows a little more of the Bob or Sentry with
Yes.
using the void. I'm very happy how they're showing the void. That's
Yes.
it's so minimalist, but it's so effective, right? Like
Yes.
human body shadow. Like you don't have to always make a big explosion. Like that's one of those. It's like so simple that it's scary. You just become
Hmm.
a, a blotch on
Yeah.
concrete of all things. Like
Hmm.
oh. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, well, the Void just feels like such an emotionless figure, even down to like the voice and the little effect they have on it. It's so dark and menacing, and
mhm.
I think that one thing that really excites me about this is the fact that we have Paul Jenkins being involved in the movie, the creator of Century. He had creative input on the character in this movie. And it's already been said actually that if they make a Century movie, he's going to write the movie, which
Oh,
is
cool.
yeah, yeah, he talked about this in an interview it's in over the last few months at some point. And he said, I'm not sure how much of my advice they took, but I like what I've seen so far, and I'm willing to bet they took a good amount of influence from what he did and what he asked and gave them advice on. Because so far, it feels like Century, man, down to the design, down to the idea, the principle of the character, and I have a feeling this is going to end up going down as one of the best Marvel villains. I have a gut feeling here, man, because
Yeah.
this is going to be a very layered antagonist that not just is powerful and exciting, but adds to the core theme of the story, which is about mental health and coming together when you have these struggles. Because Sentry is the biggest mental health character in Marvel, probably, as far as like a character that struggles with severe anxiety and mental health issues, depression, and
And he's all powerful.
right, and he's all powerful.
Yeah.
And
It's so relatable. You could be on top of things and
right,
still be going through so much up here that, others don't know about. It's cool.
exactly.
That's a cool thing to address. Like, I know they didn't do the best job with Moon Knight, but when they tackle stuff like that, it's actually pretty cool.
Hmm.
Or like when Wanda has an anxiety attack on Age of Ultron and Hawkeye has to talk her down and be like, look, you either do or you don't. But like,
Yeah,
you got to do something. Otherwise, it's just going to go down.
right.
Um, I found it interesting that they still don't want to reveal the suit because they showed him just as a shadow in that clip, which is cool. I mean, it doesn't change me either way whether to do or not. But I was saying this with some of my friends. I'm like, I'm sure once like it has like a weekend or two, you know how they sometimes show stuff
Yes.
to like number one opening movie and they'll show like a scene of him flying and see the
Yeah.
suit. They can get amped up. Nothing wrong with that. It was more like just something I noticed that they do sometimes.
Hmm.
The one thing, and this is just personal to me, that I'm not
Hmm.
crazy about is that they announced who in the Thunderbolts is going to be
Yes.
on Doomsday. It kind of reminds me of like when Far From Home was
Yeah.
coming out and it spoiled all of Tony dying. You're like, bro, Endgame just came out, like, because they did it within like 2 weeks of well, maybe not 2 weeks. It was pretty quickly within the release of Endgame. And you're like, oh, Tony dies. Great. Because they were showing it in front of Endgame.
Hmm.
Like, come on, man. But
Yeah.
this isn't, but of course, this only bothers us because or bothers me because we're so into it. We follow it.
Yeah.
I'm sure most of the people that are going to go watch Thunderbolts have no idea about the Doomsday thing, more or
Right.
less, and are going to be like, oh, okay. Because there's a big thing that somebody may die in this movie. I don't think all of them are going to make it out alive. I could be wrong.
I
But
will
I was hoping
see.
it'd be Red
Yeah.
Guardian. So when I saw his name on the list, I was very upset.
Yeah. No, it's fair. I mean, because at one point I at least questioned like, could it be a few members that die? And now, based on those castings, it's like there's only one that may die, and I think if you paid attention to marketing even a little bit, it might be
Yeah.
kind of obvious who's dying.
Yeah.
It's more about, I guess, when in the movie, I guess.
To who, for what reason?
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
right.
okay. I mean, those will have impact. If it's like one of those big self-sacrifice things, that's cool and everything. But like, dang,
Mhm.
okay, all right. Well, now we know for the
Right,
most
right,
part. But again, not the worst thing in the world.
right.
Um, it is Tuesday, so we have to go and discuss our boy
Yes.
Daredevil, how we felt about last week's episode, and what we're excited about tonight.
Mhm.
So, I mentioned this to you last week, and this last week's episode kind of, I'm still not fully convinced that they're going to give Cole North that turn. And I sent you a couple of comic panels. I don't know if you took the time to read them or not. Did you?
Wait. No, I didn't. I forgot. Sorry. I will
Okay.
read
No,
those
you're
up.
you're good.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to do anything right now. I just sent you something, but if you want to look at it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it gets the idea across of what bothers me, and this comes from the Daredevil subreddit. So like these dudes know these characters very well. So
Mhm.
they had some opinions. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, but they're like, this is definitely not what Cole North stands for. And it's just like the fact that he has no reluctance to work with and for Fisk, that's what at the core bugs me. It's not that he's doing what he's doing, it's that he does it like, sure, why not? Whatever you say, taking orders. Like there's no begrudging like resistance on his end to say, okay, I'm doing this, but for the greater good. Like that isn't present whatsoever. But there was a lot of cool stuff in that episode still. I mean, Muse fighting, Muse taking Heather hostage, Daredevil jumping in, saving her, Heather shooting him,
Yeah.
which I did not see that coming. I really did not. Believe it or not. I know it's kind of obvious if you go back and rewatch it, but I was like, whoa.
Mhm.
And then I think to me the biggest shocker of the episode though was Vanessa and Fisk teaming up to take out what
Yeah.
Lucas was his name?
Yeah, I think so. Or
Yeah.
Luca or Lucas, one or the other. But
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
So what were your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, honestly. It wasn't like perfect, but I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. Looking back on it now, I think there were maybe parts of Muse that were not always exactly what I wanted. It's funny though. It's if this is truly the end of Muse, which it would look like it, then
Yeah.
I'm not fully satisfied, especially because I this is where the comic thing I guess comes in a little bit for me because I would have really liked to see some of his powers, but just because of the fact I like how there's such a clear and
Contrast.
yeah, a clear contract and antithesis to what you see with Murdoch because of the fact that he's literally absorbing and sucking in sensory
Mhm.
sounds and abilities. Like that's such a cool thing. But I think I stand by it. I think Muse is going to be revived in some capacity, and we will see Muse back in next season. I'm calling that right now, and he will have his powers when he comes back. That is my prediction right now. I know, I swear, this is not sourced or anything. I really have heard nothing about plot details for season two for the most part. I just have a gut feeling that they're gonna do that. I can
Yeah.
see it happening, and I don't think they're done with that character just yet. But as far as the rest of the episode, though. Yeah, the Fisk and Vanessa twist was really fun. I thought that was cool. The fight in the apartment was sick as hell. I know there were a lot of cuts in it that people weren't thrilled about, and I get that. The
It
fight,
reminded me of Taken when he jumps over the fence.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about? It was
yeah, yeah.
like that a little bit, man. I was like, ugh.
Like the fight in the last episode was definitely way better. Way, way, way
Yeah.
better. And you can tell that one was probably from the new team and one was from the old team. And you can tell the difference in the fighting, it's totally different. But I still enjoyed the fight a lot, and that probably had more to do with the stakes of it and just a couple little individual moments there that I thought were really awesome. But we can do better. And I think these next two episodes are going to reflect that in the action sequences because now we're back to the new directors, Benson and Moorhead. They directed the first episode and they directed also the eighth and the ninth. And obviously they retooled some stuff in the middle. But as far as full episodes, though, eight and nine will be totally them, which is so exciting because I am in love with their work so far. I love what they did as directors on Moon Knight personally, and I especially love their work on Loki. I mean, Loki
Yeah.
season two is a genuine work of art, and I stand by it. Loki season two I mean, Loki as a whole, really, actually, is the only show I feel compares to Daredevil from Marvel in any capacity. Like, and I don't mean like Daredevil Born Again Marvel, I mean like Netflix, even Marvel.
Right.
Like,
Which
I think Loki's the only one that's at that same level. I really wouldn't change a thing about Loki for myself. And they weren't there for season one of Loki, but season two they were, and they did some breathtaking stuff there. So I think that they're gonna knock it out of the park in these next two episodes and put a cap on overall what was I think we're gonna be saying a really great season. Maybe not perfect, but I will probably end up landing at like an 8.5 out of 10, just a gut feeling.
Yeah. One interesting thing that happened there at the end when Matt was visiting Heather is that she goes, I heard Daredevil say my name.
Yeah.
I think she knows, but she was just trying to like tee him up
Hmm.
to admit it like as a test, maybe. But also she was like really missing a lot of blood, so who knows what was actually
Yeah.
going through her head.
Right.
But I wonder, there's no way they can't not address that, but I wonder how they address it in the next couple of episodes.
I wonder. I've heard a couple people suggest this as a theory, and I would be shocked. What if they out Matt at the end of the show? Like Fisk reveals his identity at the very end of the show, like far from home, and that's why and maybe he's on the run more in season two in New York trying to hide. I wouldn't. That would be a fun little.
That is
Yeah,
entirely plausible because
yeah,
once, yeah, no, that's it's gonna happen. It's too obvious.
right. Like I could totally see that happening. I think it's very possible, and I'd be into that. I think that could be fun. That would be a new twist on things because we haven't seen that with this character yet, where everybody knows. Like that could lead to so many fun plot elements for next season. By the way, we didn't talk about this, I don't think, but I just want to say it. Season two, this isn't a spoiler. I just will say they showed one of the new suits on set as set photos came out. And I cannot get over how it's without a doubt the best Daredevil suit we've gotten ever, and it's maybe one of the best suits we've gotten, period, in Marvel.
I I wrote an article about that
Oh, you
3 years
did?
ago, 2.5 years
Wow.
ago,
Wow.
February 2022. I went back or something like that, 2023. I went back and looked for it, found it, and I
Mhm.
even said at the bottom, I'm like, would not surprise me at all if they used this suit.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say which one because
Yes, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
same.
but like I even made comparisons and I added a image and it's like 98% of the way there. There's very minor variations, but I will say if you've been watching a lot of Marvel, you've already seen it.
Mhm.
But it wasn't in this show, but it
Oh,
was
yeah, yeah.
shown somewhere else. Yeah, yeah. Now you
Yeah,
get what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you like that one, you're gonna really like the one that's coming up. But
Yeah.
yeah. I I'm looking forward to these last two episodes. I don't know. I kind of wish they would have done a double release for the finale.
Yeah, me too. I totally feel that, especially because I have a feeling these two episodes are gonna very much be hand in hand with each other narratively, especially
Yeah.
with the Benson and Moorhead directing both of those last two episodes.
Yep.
I think the dual release would have been nice, but it is what it is, and either way, I'm super hyped. And also, this is half separate, but just I have to shout it out because I love it so much. If you're anyone's looking for a new show after Daredevil, watch The Studio on Apple TV. I just started binging it because
Mhm.
my friend's been recommending it for weeks. It's
Yeah.
like the best show I've watched in years, maybe. And it's only three episodes in, but like it's like everything I love about TV.
Yeah. It's on my list. I'm waiting for it all to come out because I didn't request screeners because somebody else got them. So I
Hmm.
was like, I'll just wait and watch it all in one go.
Yeah.
But like, I'm trying to like go through Twitter like la 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 la. Like I saw a clip and I'm like, I just started scrolling faster because I'm like, I don't want to watch it without watching the episode to get more context
Yeah.
for it.
It's so funny,
So
dude. It's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. So with that, I mean, we've got 2 more weeks of Daredevil. We got tonight and then
Hmm.
the 8th and the 15th. I mean, just wow that Daredevil's back and we're finishing up a season and there's another one already in production. So hopefully they can turn it around and have it as, ready as soon as early next year, mid next year.
Yeah.
Either way, whatever works for me. I'm just happy to be sitting here talking about Daredevil and new and that
Hmm.
there's more coming out. I mean, it's like I've said before, he's my favorite comic book character. Like, and it's just great to see him.
Hmm.
I do wonder, I
Yeah.
do wonder if we'll see Matt slash Daredevil pop up in anything else in between this season and that one. Because I mean, he showed up in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. That was really cool. He showed up in Echo briefly. That was cool. He showed up in She-Hulk briefly. Also very cool.
Hmm.
So like I'm wondering if there's any space, any room for him in anything. Because I'm looking at what they have coming up and I'm like, there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't
Like
think so.
Thunderbolts maybe like as a passing mention in the
Yeah, I'd be
background, like,
shocked. Yeah.
like assuming they reveal, Matt's identity, right? Assuming
Yeah.
and that and we know that we're going to spend some time in New York City because we see Avengers Tower. Val owns it now, and maybe there could be like a TV or a uh, newspaper just saying like disgraced lawyer unmasked as vigilante or something. Like I
Mhm.
can see something like that. Obviously, Fantastic
Right.
Four, zero chance, right?
Mhm.
Zero chance. And I don't know what else is coming out this year beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, this year there's nothing else he would be in. He's not going to be in Wonder Man. He's not going to
An
be in
Ironheart,
Ironheart, and the rest
yeah.
of it. And maybe in one of the animated projects, he could, have like a small role because it's not set in the MCU for like zombies if that comes out this year or
Oh yeah,
something like
zombies.
something like that maybe. But as far as like a main like MCU type appearance, especially live action, no, there's nothing he's going to appear in for sure in my mind.
I mean, like even something like No Way Home, that's just brief for a little bit. I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind it, but
but
I
at
don't
least
know.
yeah,
Yeah, but there's
that was a
nothing
clear
else that.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I can't. Nothing comes to mind that. Well, I guess maybe you could show up in Spider-Man 4. No, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now that it has a title,
Right.
that's a possibility. But I mean, that's also like really far away. So,
Yes.
well, but if anything, that could be a really good one because if he's unmasked and Peter's enveloped in the mask, that would make a nice little what's the word reflection amongst one another, on where maybe Matt can step in and mentor him, saying, "Hey, don't get so lost in the mask.
Mhm.
Let me tell you about it because I've literally been there." Giving some advice to a younger one.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
other than
no,
that,
you're right.
that's about. I just love Matt so much, man. I'm just trying to think where can they make him show up again. I
Mhm.
want him to show up again. It's just funny that my two iconic New York heroes are both played by British dudes, which
I
is so
know.
funny. Oh man, but hey, we have an American Superman now, which that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yes, we do.
Yeah, but other than that, I think that's everything for this week. I mean, we've that was some things were briefer than others, but it was a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I wouldn't be surprised in about 2 hours from now, by the time that you're posting this, that something interesting gets posted. The only other thing
Probably.
I know is that there's set leaks from Doomsday, but I don't want to talk about it just because it'd be speculation. One and two,
Yeah.
people, just if they want to go look for it, they're out there. You can find it, but it's just pictures. It's not that much.
No, there's not much to talk about there yet anyway. The pictures are very minimal. It's like craters and that's about
Yeah.
it. It's like nothing that's worth really discussing in depth at this point. If there's
Mhm.
ever anything big enough and it's like widely out there, maybe I would talk about it, but I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything either. So unless
Mhm.
it's like a non-spoiler type of thing on set, like we get a look at somebody's suit maybe, or
Yeah.
like something like that, I'll talk about that. But if it gives away any plot elements, I'm not discussing that. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I'm on board with you there.
But yeah, no, I think that's it. This has been fantastic. Next week, we'll see what happens. We'll probably be discussing the next episode of Daredevil, and I'm hoping by then, because I'm really craving some DC news right now. Like
Right.
a casting piece specifically, because we've heard about Clayface casting and Sergeant Rock casting, like it's almost about to happen for a while now. Like that's got to be like on the verge of getting out through the trades, I'd imagine. So maybe by then we'll get something. That's my hope at least. So
Well, at least get a Lanterns casting at this rate.
yes, we'll definitely get one more Lanterns casting. It'll be a small role, maybe another cop in town or something. We'll get
Yeah,
something.
it's something obscure where you're like, I have no idea who this could
Yeah,
actually be.
no
And I
clue.
like that. I mean, I love the method. I'm like, man, I don't know who these people are. I can't be like, this is definitely this character. No, you have no idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, Marvin, this has been fantastic.
Always a pleasure.
This is another wonderful episode of Capes and Crossovers. I'll see you, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
That's a wrap on this episode of Capes and Crossovers. Thanks for joining me and Marvin on this journey through the world of heroes. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a fellow fan, and let's keep building a community rooted in sincerity and celebration. Until next time, keep your cape flying high and your hearts open to the next big crossover. See you next time.